Relationships are your greatest resource.
You are allowing weaknesses, mistakes, traumas, who didn't love you, who wasn't there for you, who didn't stand by you, to define you.
Everything I ever experienced, I had to build from the ground up.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 for Believe Nation.
What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. I believe in you, and this channel is designed to be a part of your daily success routine. So let's get your motivation to a 10 and get you believing in you. Grab a snack and chew on today's lessons from a man who spent his teenage years caring for his father, dropping out of university to then become a pastor, best-selling author, and filmmaker who's inspired millions of people around the world to find their potential. He's Bishop T.D. Jakes, and here's my take on his top 10 rules of success, Volume 4. Also, if you want to know what Bishop Jakes and other entrepreneurs have to say about building unstoppable confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you a morning video for free to help you build your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
To be anxious is to have anxiety about something that hadn't even happened yet. That's why I can't deal with people who cannot pick up the pace.
Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Use your head.
When God gives you an opportunity, instead of just jumping on the opportunity, you're supposed to see what it can be. I tell them all the time, you know, God never made not one table.
Yeah, I love this. Do this. This is really.
God never made a chair. In all of his years of being God, he's never made a chair. He's never made a table. He just made a tree. And the rest of it was up to us.
Right.
When God hands you a tree, imagine a table, a chair, imagine a wall in a room, imagine a log cabin, imagine what it can be, imagine what it can be, imagine what it can be. So I'm in South Africa and I'm on a safari, and I'm really like tripping off of this safari, and I'm out here with all of these big animals and stuff. And I noticed the elephant is moving around. The elephant is strong and he's big and he's tough, and his power's in his weight. And he throws his weight around. He throws his weight around. What can you do with him? Because he's so big. God made him big as a defense. The lion roars. When he roars, everybody is almost paralyzed in fear because God gave him his roar as his defense. The cheetah says, I can't roar like that, but I can run like the wind. The cheetah, he goes running through the woods because God made him able to run because that's his defense. The eagle spreads his wings and soars into the air and says, I can't run, but I can fly. God let the eagle be able to fly because it was his defense. And I'm walking around in the jungle and I said, well, Lord, I can't fly like the eagle. I can't run like the cheetah. I can't roar like the lion, and I can't throw my weight around like the elephant. What did you give man as his defense in the whole ecosystem of life force? What did you give me? He said, I gave you a brain. Your brain is your defense. That's why God didn't make chairs. He only brings it halfway, and then lets you imagine,
collaboration,
create, develop. You understand what I'm saying? The problem with church people is that we are taught that God makes furniture. So we pray and 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 pray. Oh, I need a table. I need a table. God, give me a table. Give me a table, Jesus. Just one table, Lord. If you give me a table, I'll praise you. If you give me a table, I'll serve you. And God says, I don't do that. I make trees. I want you to look around your life for trees, not tables. God's going to bring it within the reach of your mind, and your creativity is going to take it the rest of the way. And it's going to turn into apps, and it's going to turn into Apple phones, and it's going to turn into computers. It's going to turn into satellite systems in the heavens. Look at what all we were able to do. No other creature, no other species has sent satellites up into the air, created smartphones. Look at what we did with our head. Why are we in church not using our head? I don't understand it.
Rule number 2, leave your comfort zone.
Let's talk about the eagles for a minute, because the mother eagle, after sitting on eggs, protecting it with her life until they hatch, and going out and swimming and attacking prey and bringing back food until they grow, then turns around, the same beak that fed them and the same body that warms them, takes them out to cliffs and throws them over the edge. It is not that she has turned against her children, but she knows that they will never find their wings in safety. The eaglet learns to fly by confronting its scary place. And it's not even trying to fly. It's falling and flapping and thinking mama is crazy. I'm calling Child Protective Services. I gotta get out of this. But in the process of falling and flapping and falling and flapping and falling and flapping and flapping and flapping and flapping,
come on,
and flapping and flapping and flapping.
Rule number 3, focus on the vision.
You wouldn't be in this room if you didn't have a vision. You wouldn't be in this room if you didn't have a vision. Worry about the vision more than the provision. I find that the provision comes to the vision. A lot of people ask for provision who have no vision, and money runs from blindness.
Money runs from blindness.
Yes, yeah, money runs from blindness. Money.
Bishop, you might need to unpack that one.
Okay.
For some.
If there is no purpose, there is no provision. And well, I'm not talking about physical blindness. I'm talking about blindness so far as career and future. Until you figure out, the first thing the bank wants to know is, what do you want to do? Anybody who's going to invest in you wants to hear, what do you see? What do you see? When Jesus healed the blind man and touched him the first time, he asked him, what do you see? Because his response is based on his answer. So the man said, I see men walking as trees. He said, I'm going to touch you again. Until I clear up your vision, we can't leave this spot. The first time I went to the bank, it was amazing. They wanted a 7-year projection of our company. And I thought, wow, I didn't know anything about business. I thought, what in the world do they want that for? I could write down anything. What they're really asking you is, have you thought through the future?
Right. That's right.
They're asking you, can you see? Because if you can see, we will fund what you see, provision. But if there is no vision, how can there be provision? So when we want something, ask God for provision. But you need to be asking for vision. Because if you get a clear vision and you're passionate about it, people support people, not ideas. So if you're not excited about it, why should I give to it?
Rule number 4, be present in the moment.
I was telling my church Sunday, if you go to my stream our service Sunday, you get to see a big, ugly 6'2" man start whimpering and lips start trembling and
got you
trying not to cry.
Yeah.
I had no idea when I was pastoring in Smithers, 40 people, 50 people.
Smithers, West Virginia.
West Virginia, on Easter.
40 on Easter.
On Easter, bro.
Right. On Easter.
On Easter. That's counting pregnant folks and dead members. We had about 50 people. I had no idea that the Potter's house was in me. You stumble into it.
Yeah.
But until you dignify the 40, you don't get the 40,000. The problem today is that people are so busy going after the 40,000 that they don't respect the 40. And if you don't do your best with the 40, you won't get to the 40,000.
Yeah.
So all of my life, I stumbled into relationships and situations and circumstances that I had no idea were going to happen in my life. But as you dignify the present with your attention,
Yeah, I like that.
to be present in the moment.
I like that.
That is so important. And sometimes I have to make myself do it because I'm such a planner. I'm so strategic. I'm really 10 years ahead of where the calendar is right now. I'm waiting on it to catch up. I got plans.
Rule number 5, be effective.
I never wanted to be famous. I prayed to be effective.
Wow.
Yeah, I prayed to be effective.
And you were, and you are.
You know, Paul, I found out that if you are effective, effective will bring fame.
Wow.
Fame is not anything to be, fame is not anything to aspire toward. It is something that you endure. Yeah, it's something that you endure. Wow. Fame robs you of something that money cannot buy. Normalcy, privacy, seclusion, which is a healthy part of mental health, to be able to have sabbaticals away from crowds. Even Jesus escaped crowds at times to renew himself. So to all of you that may be out there thinking, you know, God make me famous, change that prayer today. It's far better to be effective. And I tell people all the time, everybody famous isn't great, and everybody great isn't famous. A lot of people are afraid to build from the ground up because we are shown instant success.
Yes.
Overnight wonders.
Yes.
Somebody put something on YouTube and they exploded and now they're famous. And then we got people who are famous for being famous. It used to be you were famous because you did something. Now you're just famous. You're just famous. Glory to God. And we got everybody who wants to walk around and just be famous. But the first thing God said wasn't be famous, it was be fruitful.
Right.
Be fruitful.
Yes.
And if being fruitful makes you famous, then that's okay.
Rule number 6, don't hold yourself down.
And it is not what you think about God that is holding you. It is what you think about you that is holding you. Oh, let me try it on them. It is not what you think about God that is holding you. You got great thoughts about God. It is what you think about you that keeps bringing you back down to playing the same role in the same movie over and over again. You will not accept God's script. God has a script for you to go by. You will not accept God's script because you are allowing weaknesses, mistakes, traumas, who didn't love you, who wasn't there for you, who didn't stand by you, to define you, and you are letting the enemy script you for the life Jesus died to give you.
Rule number 7, develop good relationships.
Relationships are your greatest resource. People who don't like money don't like resources because everything that's ever going to come to you is going to come through a person. That's why you got to be careful how you treat people because it's not guaranteed that it'll be somebody you like, your friend. They won't necessarily be your color and they may not have your theology. Okay? But God may use them to bless you.
Rule number 8, tap into your creativity.
If you didn't get a good job, you have to create a good job.
Come on.
Yeah, you have
That's
to
it.
create a job.
Yeah.
You have to carve out a niche in the earth for yourself and be creative. You must realize that we were created by a creator who created us in his likeness and in his image. And if our creator is a creator, then I have to be creative. Somewhere down inside of every single solitary person in this room is creativity, whether you tap into it or not. We were not meant to follow a marching band and follow it behind other people's creativity and not discover our own. You have creativity, you have passion, and you have purpose, and giving people the freedom and the wherewithal to build that. I suddenly realized when I sat down to write this book that everything I ever experienced, I had to build from the ground up. I never inherited anything. I mean, my father gave me a watch, and I appreciate it. And you know, my parents weren't so much into what they left to you, but they were masterful at what they left in you.
Rule number 9, have an entrepreneurial mindset.
SOAR, when I sat down to write it, was written solely and exclusively to people who had aspirations for being entrepreneurial. Because I grew up in a home with entrepreneurship, and I'm very passionate about it, and I've expressed it to my children. As I began to write it, I thought this is also true for people who are starting churches. The same mindset was applicable. Because a person who goes to work to perform a task, and when the task is over, they go home. An entrepreneur doesn't have hours.
That's right.
An entrepreneur takes full responsibility for everything. You can't be one-dimensional and be an entrepreneur. Just because you like to bake cookies doesn't mean that you can just think about baking cookies. You got to think about packaging. You got to think about marketing. You got to think about health inspections. You got to think about staff development. You have to think about everything. The buck stops with you. So you have to be a global thinker to be an entrepreneur. We are teaching people to be specialists in one dimension. And it was very much like pastoring a church, starting a church. You start a church, you can't just worry about what I'm going to preach this Sunday. There are preachers who come to work for churches who are so organized that they are hired to preach. But if you start a church, you better be hired to clean bathrooms. You better be hired to drive the bus. You better be hired to balance the books. You have to be hired to do a whole lot of stuff. You know, I worked my way out of doing all of this stuff, but I started out, you know, I was a choir director, the head of the deacon board, the cleanup committee, the head of the janitorial service, and the marketing director. I had to be everything. That's an entrepreneurial mindset. As I continued to write the book, I realized that I wasn't talking about a thing, I was talking about a mentality. The mentality says, I take responsibility for where my life is going. Well, so I wrote the book SOAR to say to you, whether you're working a job and when you work a job, I tell you what I'll pay you. But what I'm willing to pay you may not be how much you need to make. So you might need multiple streams of income in order to get what you are really worth, even though I've determined what I'm going to pay you. You cannot allow my evaluation and assessment of what you are worth to my company's dream to be the substratum of what you hope to get for your dream and your purpose. You understand? So whether it is subsidizing your income with multiple streams of income, as I mentioned to you while I'm sitting here talking to you, we're filming in Pittsburgh. You don't always have to be present to be productive. Okay, I talk in the book about building the team around you. I call it the machine. Building the machine is imperative for you to be functional. The only reason I can sit here right now is that I have a team of staff people who are sending me texts up to the very last minute before I walked out here, telling me what's going on in all the venues, all the time, all the while, what's being shot, what's being handled, all that's going on. You have to build around you an infrastructure. And this is what one of the reasons I wrote the book is I watched my father start a business with a mop and a bucket. One mop, one bucket, borrowed a truck. Went to clean up a place and turned it into a business with 52 employees and 10 trucks servicing the state of West Virginia doing a janitorial service. And one of the things that stopped it from going nationwide, in my view, is that he wouldn't stop mopping. You understand what I'm saying? My father was such a hustler, in a good sense. He was a good hustler. It was hard to describe what he did because he did everything to survive. This is 1960. And then when he started working, he was good at work. He took pride in what he did. But in order to really get your hand on things you have to stop doing and start being. John Maxwell says, if you know how to do a thing, you will always have a job. But if you know why they're doing it, they will always work for you.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is don't let fear hold you back.
As a young boy, I was enthralled by airplanes and the wonder of whether I would ever embark on a flight that would carry me to new, exciting adventures and a life of limitless possibilities. I came to know I had the power within me to soar, and that has made all the difference in my life. Flying for the first time is a lot like creating your own business.
launching a startup, or establishing a non-for-profit organization. Both require a leap of faith and a willingness to take a journey of unexpected variables. In other words, both require a little bit of crazy and a whole lot of courage. Don't let fear hold you back from doing what you truly love. Commit to your vision and be the CEO of your future.
Now, I've got a really special bonus clip from Bishop Jakes on how to just do it that I think you're going to really enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Time to move from just watching another video to actually taking action in your life or your business. And if you're feeling bold, answer these questions in the comments below. Here we go. Question number 1. What is fear holding you back from doing? Number 2, how can you tap into your creativity to conquer that fear? And number 3, who in your circle of friends can hold you accountable?
Everything in my life I stumbled into.
Is that right?
I stumbled into. I never thought I would be producing films. My wife and I started out doing gospel plays and going on tour during gospel plays. We had no intention that we were going to ever do movies. We were trying to do plays and trying to figure out how to do that right, and losing money. We went to Atlanta and just lost our shirts putting up the first play. And in the process of stumbling around, we finally figured out how to get the play kind of going good. And then I met this dude that I said, let's collaborate and do it together. And the dude was, what was his name? Tyler Perry, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I heard about him somewhere.
Yeah. Tyler Perry was fresh out of sleeping in his car.
Right.
And I was fresh out of money. And so we got together and collaborated and did a play called Women Are Loose. Reuben Cannon was in the crowd, and he saw the play and he said, I want to make it a movie. He said, I want to make it a movie. I didn't have no movie money. Movie and money both start with the M for a reason, okay? When you have one, you got to have the other. But he said something to me that becomes the way business people think. They don't fail to do something because they don't have the money. He says, we'll raise the money. Let's do the movie. Listen to the difference in attitude. I can't do it because I don't have the money. He doesn't see money as an issue. If you see it as an issue, it'll be a stop sign. We put the money together and we did this little low-budget film, Women Are Loose, and just on a whim, submitted it to the Santa Barbara Film Festival and won the festival. And all of a sudden, the movie that we were going to put on TV went to screen. You see how you're stumbling into it? Yeah. It's not always that you planned it, but if you honor where you are with your best effort, even if it is not it, it will lead to it. So as you walk along, you stumble into it.
So let me give you the one-word secret to happiness. One word. This is all you need to be happy.
The most important word ever.
If you had to think of one word that's most important to you, or that sums you up, or that would be kind of like a little beacon.
If you want more Bishop Jakes, check out the first top 10 that I did on him. The link is right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
If you don't know who you are, somebody can ascribe any identity onto you, and you will morph into whatever they want you to be.